The rain hammered against the thin window panes of our cramped Barcelona apartment like it was trying to break in. But it was the soft sob that jolted me awake, raw, guttural, the kind that claws its way out of your chest when the world's too heavy to hold anymore. I blinked into the darkness, my heart thudding, and there she was. Haley, my straight-as-an-arrow roommate, kneeling beside my bed, her face inches from mine, tears carving silent rivers down her cheeks as she traced the air above my sleeping form like she was afraid to touch a ghost. "I can't pretend anymore," she whispered, her voice cracking like thunder. And in that moment, the girl I'd spent 6 months convincing myself was just a friend shattered every wall I'd built around my own buried longing. It was supposed to be simple. Study abroad in Spain, 3rd year of college, a chance to escape the suffocating suburbs of Seattle, where I'd grown up hiding crushes on girls who dated quarterbacks and never looked back. I'd answered the ad on a whim. Female roommate wanted for shared flat in Gracia. Clean chill, no drama. American expat preferred. Haley's photo showed a sun-kissed smile from some California beach volleyball game. Her auburn curls wild in the wind, green eyes sparkling with that effortless confidence that screamed, straight girl next door. She was 22, a semester ahead of me in her psych degree, here on a whim after a messy breakup back home. "Think of it as a reset," she'd said over our first video call, her laugh light and unburdened. "No exes, no expectations. Just tapas and too much sangria." We clicked from day one. The apartment was a shoebox on a narrow cobblestone street, all exposed brick and creaky wooden floors, with a balcony overlooking the neighborhood's bohemian chaos, street musicians strumming flamenco guitars at midnight, old ladies haggling over figs at the market below. Haley was the sun to my quiet moon. She'd drag me out to beach clubs in Barceloneta, where she'd flirt shamelessly with tan surfers while I nursed a cerveza and sketched the waves in my notebook, stealing glances at the curve of her neck when she laughed. "You're too serious, hon," she teased, slinging an arm around my shoulders, her touch electric but always platonic, a sister's warmth. "Live a little. Spain's not for brooding." I was brooding though. Always had been. Back in Seattle, I'd come out in high school to a mom who baked me rainbow cookies and a dad who nodded once and said, "Love's love, kiddo." But the dating scene? A minefield of awkward hookups that fizzled when they realized I wanted more than a phase. Haley was different, safe because she was straight. Or so I thought. She'd talk endlessly about her ex, Jake, the golden boy from her sorority days, how he cheated with her best friend but she still missed the normalcy of it. "Guys are idiots, but at least you know where you stand," she'd say, flopping onto our thrift store couch with a bowl of patatas bravas, her bare feet kicking against mine. I'd laugh it off, ignore the flutter in my stomach, remind myself she was off limits. Nights blurred into a rhythm. Classes at the university by day, where I'd lose myself in literature seminars dissecting Lorca's forbidden loves, and evenings wandering the Gothic Quarter, Haley leading the charge with her infectious energy. She'd point out hidden patios tucked behind iron gates, force me to try escargot at some hole in the wall, her enthusiasm pulling me out of my shell. "You're like my little shadow," she'd say, ruffling my hair, and I'd melt into it, pretending it was enough. But there were cracks. Late-night confessions over cheap vino tinto, when the city lights twinkled like distant stars, and she'd curl up on my bed, never hers for reasons she never explained, talking about feeling lost. "Everyone back home thinks I'm this perfect girl. Volleyball star, psych major, future therapist. But what if it's all bullshit? What if I don't know who I am?" I'd listen, my heart aching, offering vague reassurances while fighting the urge to pull her close. "You're Haley. That's enough." She'd smile, sleepy and soft, and drift off with her head on my pillow, inches from mine. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, wondering if she could hear my pulse racing. It was torture, the sweetest kind, the proximity without possession. I buried it deep, told myself it was just roommate vibes, that Spain was a bubble and we'd go back to our separate lives come summer. Then came Alex. He was a local artist, all brooding intensity and paint-splattered jeans, the kind of guy who quoted Neruda over coffee and sketched Haley's profile on napkins during our group hangs at a cafe in El Born. She lit up around him. Flushed cheeks, that girlish giggle she saved for crushes. "He's different," she confided one night, buzzing from his kisses as we stumbled home from a bar crawl. "Not like Jake. He sees me, you know." I forced a grin, clinked my glass to hers. Go for it. You deserve that. Inside it twisted like a knife. Watching them at parties, his hand on her waist, her leaning into him, it was a reminder of my place. The loyal sidekick forever on the sidelines. But Alex wasn't the fairy tale. Whispers started. A girl from his art collective, jealous glares at exhibitions. Haley brushed it off at first, but the late nights grew longer, her texts lighting up my phone with excuses. Staying at his studio again. Don't wait up. I'd pace the apartment, the silence mocking me, until she'd slip in at dawn, makeup smudged, eyes red-rimmed. He's just passionate about his work, she'd insist, but the doubt crept in like fog off the Mediterranean. It all unraveled on a stormy Thursday in late April. I'd come home early from a library shift, soaked from the sudden downpour, and found her on the couch, scrolling through messages on her phone, face pale as the marble statues in the Prado. What happened? I asked, dropping my bag. She looked up, shattered. It's nothing. Just Alex with that girl from the collective. Photos. God, I'm such an idiot. The words spilled out then. How he'd sworn it was nothing. How she'd believed him because she wanted to. How it echoed Jake all over again. I sat beside her, tentative, and she collapsed into my arms, sobbing against my shoulder. Why does this keep happening? Am I that unlovable? You're not, I murmured, stroking her hair, the damp curls tangling around my fingers. You're everything. She clung to me, her body warm and trembling, and for a heartbeat the world narrowed to us, rain lashing the windows, her breath hot on my neck. When she pulled back, her eyes searched mine, something flickering there I couldn't name. Stay with me tonight? I don't want to be alone. I nodded, and we ended up in my bed, her back to my chest, my arm draped over her waist like it belonged there. She fell asleep first, her breathing evening out, but I lay awake, hyper-aware of every shift, every sigh. That's when it happened, the night that redrew everything. I dozed off eventually, exhaustion winning, but the sob yanked me back. Kneeling there, her face so close, whispering those words. I can't pretend anymore. My eyes adjusted to the dim glow from the street lamp outside, and I saw it, not just tears, but the way her fingers hovered, trembling, as if debating whether to wake me or flee. Haley! My voice was a croak, barely audible over the storm. She froze, then recoiled like I'd burned her, scrambling back onto her heels. Oh God, hon, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I couldn't sleep. But she had been sleeping or trying to, her tank top twisted from tossing. The air thickened, charged with the unsaid. What can't you pretend? I pressed, sitting up, the sheets pooling around me. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. The way I feel when I'm with you. It's not what I thought it was supposed to be. The confession hung there, fragile as spun glass. Straight Haley, the girl who'd dated boys since freshman year. Admitting what? That the safety she'd found in me had twisted into something deeper, scarier? We talked until dawn, words tumbling like the rain. Her confusion, the pressure from home to be normal. The way Alex's betrayal had cracked open doubts she'd buried since college. I look at you and it's like, everything makes sense but nothing does. Am I crazy? No, I wanted to say. You're seeing me. But fear clamped my throat. What if this was a phase for her, a rebound from heartbreak? What if I poured my soul out and she bolted back to the safety of men? Instead, I took her hand, tentative. You're not crazy. And you're not alone. Her fingers laced through mine, warm and sure, and she leaned in, forehead to forehead. What do we do now? Whisper soft, a plea. We figure it out. Together. The kiss that followed was tentative. A brush of lips born of exhaustion and truth, tasting of salt and possibility. It wasn't fireworks. It was a quiet unraveling. The start of something neither of us had mapped. The next weeks were a haze of stolen moments and second-guessing. By day we played it cool. Classes, cafe runs, pretending for our friends who teased about our sisterly bond. But nights? They belonged to us. Curled on the balcony under star-pricked skies, her head in my lap as I read poetry aloud, her fingers tracing patterns on my knee. We'd walk the Ramblas hand in hand when the crowd swallowed us, anonymous in the throng, her laughter freer than I'd ever heard. This feels right, she'd murmur into my neck during lazy Sundays in bed. Sunlight slanting through the blinds, like I was asleep before. I fell harder with every glance, every shared secret. Haley opened up about the girls she'd dismissed in high school, crushes chalked up to admiration, the sorority whispers that made her overcompensate with Jake. I thought it was envy, she said one evening, as we painted each other's nails on the floor, the scent of acetone mingling with jasmine from the neighbor's window box. But it was more. You make me brave enough to see it. My own walls crumbled. I told her about Seattle heartbreaks, the fear of being too much, for anyone to love fully. She listened, eyes soft, and kissed my knuckles. You're perfect. Exactly as you are. Alex faded into irrelevance. A curt text goodbye, his paintings gathering dust in her sketchbook. Our circle noticed the shift. Sidelong glances at dinners, questions about why we glowed. You two are basically married, our friend Mia joked over paella, and Haley's cheeks pinked, but she squeezed my thigh under the table, a silent yes. Yet doubt lingered, a shadow in the corners. Her calls home grew strained. Her mom's probing about that nice boy from the ad. Her dad's casual, any guys on the horizon? Haley deflected, but it wore on her. The weight of expectation from a family that loved her fiercely but blindly. What if they hate me? She'd whisper at 3 a.m., my arms her anchor. Then they're missing out, I'd reply fierce. But they won't. Love doesn't work that way. Summer loomed, visas expiring, the bubble threatening to burst. We planned extensions, maybe grad school here, a life woven from these streets. It felt possible, tangible, until the betrayal hit like a rogue wave. It was a Friday, the city pulsing with pre-weekend energy. I'd surprised her with tickets to a Lorca reading at the Palau de la Música, her favorite haunt. But she texted late. Stuck at a group project. Rain check. Odd since her schedule was clear. Worry not, but I went alone, the theater's gilded arches echoing my unease. Halfway through my phone buzzed. A photo from Mia. Haley at a bar in El Raval laughing with Alex, his arm slung low on her hip, her hand on his chest. My world tilted. The poetry blurred, words of lost love mocking me as I bolted into the night, hail mixing with tears. I ran the labyrinthine alleys, chest burning, until I burst into our apartment. She was there alone, scrolling her phone with feigned nonchalance. Han? You're early. Early. I hurled the printed photo at her feet, voice breaking. What the hell is this? Her face drained of color, eyes wide with guilt. It's not God, it's not what it looks like. He cornered me after class, begging for closure. Mia was there, it was nothing. Nothing? His hand on you, your smile like old times. The words lashed out, fueled by months of vulnerability laid bare. Betrayal stung deepest because I'd believed her, us. Was I just an experiment? A safe harbor till you sailed back to boys? No. She lunged forward, grabbing my arms, desperate. Alex means nothing. He's a ghost, a mistake I didn't see coming. But you're real. This is real. Sobs choked her, mirroring that first night. I panicked, okay? He texted about my family finding out, how they'd disown me if I went gay. It messed with my head. I met him to end it, but I froze. I'm sorry, Han. Please. I wrenched free, backing toward the door, rain-slick streets calling like escape. You froze because part of you wonders if he's right. If this us is just a phase. The lie tasted bitter, but it was armor. I can't be your trial run. Wait. She blocked me, tears streaming. Don't. I love you. Not as a roommate, not as a friend. You. All of you. The words hung, raw and irrevocable. Thunder rumbled outside, the storm mirroring the one inside. I searched her face, the freckles I knew by heart, the green eyes pleading, and saw truth fractured but fierce. We shattered then, voices rising over the gale. Accusations, apologies, the ugly underbelly of fear. You think I don't scare me too? She yelled, pounding her chest. Coming out to myself at 22 after a lifetime of pretending? But I choose you. Every damn day. I sank to the floor, spent, and she followed, knees to the tiles, our foreheads touching in defeat. Then prove it, I whispered. Call them. Now. She did. Phone trembling in her hand, dialing her mom under the flicker of our single lamp. The conversation was a blur, halting explanations, gasps on the other end, then silence broken by a soft, "Oh baby, we love you. Always." No disownment, no fire and brimstone. Just the hesitant grace of parents who meant it when they said love's love. Haley hung up, collapsing into me, and we cried together, the release cathartic, washing away the grime of doubt. The climax came not in fury, but in quiet rebuilding. Days blurred into tentative steps. Therapy sessions at a queer center in Izample, where Haley unpacked her internalized fears, and I confronted my own abandonment scars. We walked the beach at dawn, toes in the surf, promising honesty over conscience from a vendor's cart. "No more hiding," she'd say, lacing our fingers for the world to see. Friends rallied. Mia with apologies and ally pins. Group nights turning into celebrations of our upgrade. Summer arrived with a bittersweet edge. Visas extended but reality beckoned. Flights home, family reunions. We flew to Seattle together, hand in hand through airports, her parents waiting with awkward hugs and a pride flag in the window. Mine enveloped us in bear hugs and, "About time you found someone who matches your stubborn." Spain faded to memory, but we carried it. The rain-soaked confessions, the balcony whispers, like embers in our pockets. Back in the States, life reshaped around us. Haley interned at a crisis hotline, channeling her empathy into helping others navigate their truths. I finished my degree, writing a thesis on queer narratives in exile lit, dedicating it to the girl who taught me home isn't a place. We got a tiny apartment in Capitol Hill, all vinyl records and weekend hikes, her volleyball games now mixed with my poetry slams. Conflicts arose, jealous ex-friends, societal side-eyes, but we faced them shoulder to shoulder, our bond tempered by fire. One evening, as autumn leaves swirled outside our window like confetti, Haley knelt by our bed. Not in tears but with a ring simple silver twisted like Barcelona's alleys. "I caught you sleeping that night," she said, voice steady, "and it woke me up. Marry me, Han. Let's keep changing each other." I pulled her up, kissing her fierce and sure. Yes. 1,000 times. In the end it wasn't a fairy tale, no Hollywood gloss. It was human, messy, profound, laced with the ache of growth. We learned love is an absence of betrayal, but the choice to rebuild after. And in quiet moments, her head on my chest, I'd whisper thanks to that stormy Spanish night, for the unexpected that became our everything. The ring caught the light from our bedside lamp, a modest gleam that felt like a beacon in the dim Seattle room we'd made our own. Haley's green eyes held mine, vulnerable yet unyielding. The same look she'd worn that rain-lashed night in Barcelona when everything teetered on the edge. "Is that a yes?" she asked, half laughing through the tears, her curls tickling my cheek as she hovered. I nodded, pulling her down into a tangle of limbs and laughter, the weight of the proposal settling like a promise kept. But even in joy, shadows lingered. The what-ifs, the echoes of doubt that had nearly undone us. Settling into post-Spain life wasn't seamless. Capitol Hill buzzed with queer energy, rainbow crosswalks, coffee shops with pronoun stickers on the doors, but it was a far cry from the anonymous freedom of Barcelona's labyrinths. Here eyes followed us on walks to Pike Place, whispers trailing like smoke. Haley's old sorority sisters, those polished girls from UC Santa Barbara days, sent passive-aggressive texts. "Heard you're going through a phase? Call if you need to talk." She'd delete them with a sigh, but I saw the flinch, the old insecurities bubbling up. "They don't get it," she'd mutter, stirring her oat milk latte at our corner booth. "They think I'm broken." "You're not," I'd counter, tracing the freckles on her hand. "They're just scared of what they don't understand." But words only patch so much. Her family visits were minefields of well-meaning awkwardness, her mom overcompensating with vegan potlucks and supportive articles on fluidity, her dad grunting approvals over barbecue while avoiding eye contact. My parents were easier, their liberal hugs a bomb, but even they slipped. "Sure you're not rushing? It's a big change." Change. As if love had an expiration date. We threw ourselves into routines to anchor us. Mornings started with Haley's alarm blaring indie folk, her dragging me to yoga in the park where she'd downward dog with athletic grace, me flailing beside her like a newborn giraffe. "Breathe through it," she teased, spotting me in warrior pose, her touch lingering just enough to spark. Afternoons she'd vanish into her hotline shifts, voice steady on the line for callers wrestling demons she knew too well, while I holed up in coffee-scented corners, pounding out stories of women loving fiercely against the odds. Evenings were sacred. Cooking paella knockoffs with subpar saffron, dancing barefoot to Nina Simone in the kitchen, her body fitting mine like it had been carved to. Yet conflict simmered beneath the domesticity. Haley's drive to prove herself clashed with my quieter pace. She'd sign us up for pride events, volunteer at trans youth centers. Her energy a whirlwind I admired but sometimes resented. Slow down, I'd plead after a marathon weekend, collapsing on the couch with takeout foe. We're building a life, not a resume. She'd pace, frustration etching lines around her mouth. If I don't shout it from the rooftops, who will? I hid for so long, I won't anymore. It wasn't about me. It was the ghost of Alex, of Jake, of every man who'd made her feel small. But it stung, the implication that our love needed billboards to validate. The real fracture came in November. Gray skies mirroring the chill settling in our bones. Haley's 23rd birthday loomed, and I planned meticulously. A surprise weekend in the San Juans, ferry rides to islands of evergreens and lighthouses, a nod to simpler escapes. But the week before she withdrew. Short texts from work, dinners eaten in silence. Just stressed, she'd say, but her eyes darted away. I cornered her one night, rain pattering our window like Barcelona redux. Talk to me, please. She deflated, sinking to the rug, knees to chest. It's Mom. She found my old emails from Jake, from Alex. Started asking if I'm sure this isn't a reaction to them. Like loving you as trauma response. The words landed like punches. Betrayal again, not from her, but the world chipping at our foundation. She means well, but it makes me question everything. What if she's right? What if I dragged you into my mess? Rage flared, hot and protective. Don't you dare. This isn't mess, it's us. If your mom's doubts are louder than your heart, then maybe... I stopped, the unspoken threat hanging. Maybe we're done. She looked up, stricken. You think I'd choose her words over you? After everything. The argument escalated, voices echoing off our exposed beams. My accusations of self-sabotage, her defenses laced with fear. I need to fix this alone, she shouted. You can't therapist me out of it. I stormed out into the drizzle-slick streets, walking aimlessly past tattoo parlors and dive bars until my phone buzzed. Mia. Our lifeline from Spain days, now in Portland. Heard you're fighting. Don't let the straights win. Call her. Wisdom from afar. I did, from a bench under sodium lights, voicemail pouring out apologies and pleas. Hours later, Haley found me, umbrella in hand, her coat damp. I called Mom back. Told her it's not a phase, it's me. And if she can't handle that, she'll lose her daughter. Her voice trembled, but resolve steeled it. We walked home in silence, then talked till sunrise, unpacking the layers. Her fear of repeating patterns, my terror of losing the girl who'd cracked me open. From there, growth deepened. We started couples counseling, not because we were broken but because we were human, opting for tools over assumptions. Sessions in a sunlit office revealed my patterns too. The Seattle walls I'd rebuilt, expecting rejection. You're worthy of staying, the therapist said, and Haley echoed it, her hand in mine. We set boundaries. Family visits with escape plans. Check-ins over wine where doubts got aired before festering. Winter thawed into spring, our engagement a quiet anchor. We planned a small ceremony, backyard under evergreens, with paella catered from a food truck run by a Catalan expat. Invites went out. My artsy crew, her hotline colleagues, a video call from Barcelona friends. Haley's mom RSVP'd yes with a note. Can't wait to meet the woman who makes my girl shine. Progress, incremental but real. Yet drama peaked in June, heat wave baking the city. A letter arrived, Haley's sorority, formal and frosty, revoking her alumni status after lifestyle concerns from old members. It gutted her. The betrayal from sisters she'd once called family. They were my safety net. She wept on our fire escape, city hum below. Now it's ripped away. I held her, fury boiling. Then we weave a new one. Bigger, truer. We did. A counter-event. A Reclaim the Sisterhood picnic in Discovery Park, inviting queer alums and allies. Haley spoke, voice steady. I thought fitting in meant hiding, but love, real love, means standing tall. The crowd cheered, hands raised like waves, and I watched her bloom, the straight girl facade shed like old skin. As wedding day neared, emotions crested. Rehearsal dinner at my parents', backyard strung with lights, laughter mingling with nerves. Haley pulled me aside under the willow tree. That night in Spain, I was tracing your face because I dreamed you left. Woke up terrified. Confessions echo. I'd never, I vowed, kissing her palm. You're my unexpected. My everything. Vows exchanged under a floral arch, sea breeze off the sound. Promises of patience in storms, joy in sun. I caught you, I said, ring sliding on. And you caught me back. Cheers erupted, her mom's toast tearful. To brave hearts. Honeymoon in the Cascades. Cabins, hikes, stars like Spain's but ours. Years folded forward. Haley's practice thrived, specializing in LGBTQ+ youth. I published that collection, stories laced with our art conflicts came. Job stresses, fertility talks, adoption dreams, the world's cruelties, but we navigated, humanistic in our flaws. Betrayal's scar faded to lesson. Love endures not despite humanity but through it. One anniversary Barcelona bound, we stood on our old balcony. Rain soft. Changed us, she murmured, arms around me. For the better. Yes, utterly, irrevocably. The Barcelona rain hadn't changed. Gentle now, nostalgic, pattering the balcony like fingers on piano keys. Haley leaned against the railing, wineglass in hand, her profile etched in the glow of street lamps below, just as it had been 7 years ago. Feels like yesterday, she said, turning to me with that half-smile, green eyes crinkling. Me a mess on your floor. You saving me without even trying. I wrapped my arms around her waist from behind, chin on her shoulder, inhaling the familiar scent of her shampoo, lavender and sea salt. We saved each other, I corrected, kissing the curve of her neck. And look at us now. Still standing. Marriage hadn't sanded our edges smooth. If anything, it honed them sharper, revealing the beautiful grit beneath. Back in Seattle after that anniversary trip, life resumed its chaotic ballet. Our apartment had evolved. A second bedroom converted to a nursery, walls splashed with murals of Spanish tiles and Pacific waves, a testament to blended worlds. We'd adopted Lila 2 years prior, a wide-eyed 4-year-old from the foster system with Haley's freckles and my stubborn streak. Motherhood was our latest drama. Sleepless nights, tag-teaming bottles, preschool politics over gluten-free snacks, the bone-deep fear of not being enough. What if we screw her up? Haley fretted one dawn, rocking Lila as rain streaked our window. Like my doubts screwed us? I took the baby, nestling her warm weight against my chest. Then we fix it. Like always. It was our mantra, forged in therapy fires, vulnerability is strength, not weakness. Lila cooed, tiny fist in my hair, and Haley's tension eased, her kiss soft on my temple. You're my rock, hon. Don't know what I'd do without you. But rocks erode too. Conflict brewed in subtle fissures. Haley's career skyrocketed, keynotes at conferences, a book deal on queer identity in straight spaces. But the spotlight pulled her inward. Late nights drafting chapters, weekends at workshops, her absence a quiet ache. It's for us, she'd justify, laptop glowing in the dim kitchen. Building security for Lila. I nodded, supportive, but resentment simmered. My writing stalled, freelance gigs paying bills while I wrangled tantrums and plot twists. I feel like the support act. I confessed over cooling paella one evening, Lila asleep upstairs. Again. She set down her fork, guilt shadowing her face. God, hon, I'm sorry. It's not. But it was. The old pattern. Her charging ahead, me holding the tether. We argued in hushed tones. Whispers to spare waking the kid. Accusations flying like embers. You're disappearing into work, just like you did into activism. I hissed. Am I enough anchor? She fired back, wounded. I'm fighting for visibility so Lila grows up without our hiding. You think that's easy? Door slams, couch sleeps, the Cold War of exhaustion. Betrayal crept in unexpected. A colleague of Haley's, Elena, sharp-witted therapist from her network, all empathy and late-night strategy sessions. Text lit her phone. Miss our talks. Coffee soon. Innocent, professional. But when I glimpsed one, you're glowing. That wife of yours is lucky. Jealousy flared, irrational but real. Who's Elena? I asked casually over breakfast, syrup sticky plates between us. Haley paused, fork midway. Just a collaborator. Book stuff. The evasion stung, echoing Alex's ghosts. It escalated at a launch party for her book, downtown loft pulsing with literati and allies. I mingled, Lila with a sitter, pride swelling at Haley's poise on stage. Voice resonant, anecdotes from our Spain nights drawing laughs and nods. But Elena hovered, Touches on arms, inside jokes, a shared glance that lingered. Later in the cab home it burst. "She's into you," I accused, city lights streaking past. "And you're letting it happen." Haley recoiled. "Jealous? Of a straight married woman? Come on, Han." But doubt poisoned her defense. "Or is it easier than fighting for us?" Home dissolved into storm. Shouts in the living room, Lila's monitor crackling from the next room. "You see betrayal everywhere because you're scared I'll leave," Haley yelled, tears hot. Like I almost did in Spain. But I stayed. I chose. I paced, heart pounding. And now? When work's your lover, Elena's your flirt. How do I trust? Truth sliced deep. My fear wasn't her, but the pattern of loss, the lesbian trope of partners going straight after the thrill. She softened then, crossing the room, hands on my face. "Elena's a friend. Nothing more. But if my ambition blinds me, call me on it. We're partners, not mind readers." We collapsed onto the rug, backs to the couch, raw confessions spilling. Hers, the imposter syndrome gnawing. Fearing her late bloomer story invalidated her voice. Mine, the isolation of primary parenting, feeling unseen in our duo. "I miss us," I admitted. The balcony talks, the unexpected. Renewal came slow, deliberate. We hired a nanny for breathing room. Mornings for writing dates at our old cafe. Her reading drafts aloud, my feedback sharpening her prose. Date nights revived. Hikes in the Olympics where Lila toddled between us, collecting pine cones like treasures. Elena faded to group emails, boundaries drawn with grace. Therapy evolved to family sessions. Lila's crayon drawings of two moms holding hearts, pinned to the fridge. Climax crested unexpectedly. A year later, during a family crisis. Haley's dad, stoic Vietnam vet, slow to warm to the girls, suffered a stroke, landing in Tacoma General. We drove through pelting rain. Lila buckled in back, singing off-key to Disney. Tension thick as fog. Hospital waiting room. Fluorescent hum, coffee stale, her mom pacing with rosary beads. When the doctor emerged. "He's stable but needs support." Haley broke, the strong facade crumbling. "I can't lose him. Not when we're finally okay." I held her in the sterile hallway, Lila coloring quietly nearby. "You won't. We're here." But deeper, her fear he'd die regretting her choice. That night at his bedside, tubes snaking, monitors beeping, she confessed everything anew. Spain's awakening, our vows, Lila's miracle. "I was scared you'd hate me," she whispered. His hand twitched, eyes fluttering open. "Hate? Kiddo. Proud. See you happy." Rasped but real. Tears flowed, hers, his, ours, a cathartic flood. Recovery wove us tighter. We shuttled between homes, Lila charming grandpa with puzzles, me cooking his favorite clam chowder. Haley's mom softened too, sharing stories of her own young doubts, a bridge to understanding. "You two. Your family," she said over pie, hand on mine. Human connection, messy and mending. From there the narrative arc toward grace. Haley's book hit bestseller lists, but she pulled back. Keynotes selective, time carved for us. I finished my novel, a semi-autobiographical tale of rainy awakenings, dedicated to H, my straight line to truth. Lila started kindergarten, her backpack stuffed with drawings of our adventure family. Years layered on, Lila's first crush, a classmate named Sophia, handled with ice cream and hearts are brave. Our 10th anniversary in Barcelona. Balcony vows renewed, rain blessing. Conflicts persisted, teen moods, career pivots, the world's relentless judgments, but they became chapters, not endings. Betrayals sting dulled to wisdom. Trust rebuilt daily, love a verb, not a noun. On Lila's 8th birthday, picnic under cherry blossoms, Haley knelt again. Not proposal but a game. Truth or dare? Truth. What's changed most? She grinned, pulling me close, Lila giggling nearby. You. From unexpected to inevitable. I kissed her, cherry petals drifting like confetti. In that humanistic weave, drama's scars, romance's glow, emotion's depth, we found our ending. Not perfect but profoundly ours. A story without period, just endless rainy possibility.